hell, that was loud in my ears. I don't know what I did there. I tried to turn the volume down. Was it just as loud for you or no?
Yeah, it's pretty loud.
What in the hell was going on there? I don't know. Anyway, hopefully you still have your eardrums left. Thanks for joining us as myself here, HRT Rich and the ever handsome Hollywood Hay on this Monday as we will travel to Bensalem, Pennsylvania for Parx like we always do. Terry, how was your weekend?
It was good, especially because how that 49ers kicked the Philadelphia's butt. I was a little concerned that first quarter, but after that, it kind of went 49ers way. So
sure did. They pounded the Eagles.
They did, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that coach from Philly needs a little bit of a check, right? Because he gets a little out of hand at times.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do? It's Philly. Speaking of Philly, that's what we're going to do today, my friend. But before we do that, a couple quick notes today in a little bit over at Guaranteed Tip Sheet. Today, Mahoning Valley is the free track of the day. You can see there. Just click on that link and you'll see in race number 1, Send Me On, 8 to 5, best bet of the day, one of them anyway. And I don't know, Terry, if you played the picks or not on the weekend, but my Lord, are we hot at places like Aqueduct, Del Mar, and Gulfstream, the big tracks. Ooh, wow. Smoking hot. Couple $100,000 days in there. But anyway, let's see if you and I can find our way to a good day today at Parx. And of course, like all races, Terry, they start with the first one. What's going on there?
All right. It's a 7 furlong claiming race, $12,500 claiming price. Purse is $22,000 for 3-year-olds and upward, which have never won 2 races.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't adjust my volume. It's kind of weird what's going on here today. Is it loud for everybody out there too, or just for me? All right.
It's fine for me. So
yeah, for some reason I can't adjust my volume. I don't know why. It's blasting through my eardrums, but that's okay. Technology. 7 furlongs, Terry, the profile of a winner. Does tend to favor horses that stalk the lead, but 29% of the time they still go wire to wire. Probably the biggest track bias at Parx of all here is post position, where there is a very strong inside bias, Terry. We do 1,000 simulations here. If you haven't joined us before, we do early speed over here. Also based upon that early speed, how likely they are to be comfortable with that trip and how much it will match some of their previous winning performances, or if they haven't won, their best performances. Also using speed figures to calculate our own odds. We want our odds to be lower than the post-time odds, thus creating value for the bettor. And then finally, using those speed figure simulations, what percent of the time the horse runs a speed figure at par or better for this level? Terry, what do you see in the numbers here?
Well, most of these horses have some kind of speed, but that 4 shows the very most speed of all, so it should get there first. And then the 1 has an overlay of from 2 to 1 to 4 to 1, and the 3 has an overlay from about just over 2 to 1 to 3 to 1. The par numbers, the 1 has and the 3 have small par numbers. Nobody else shows any. And then the 1, 4, and 2 show the best C-zone numbers.
Yeah, so the 1, the 4, and the 2 should be very comfortable with the pace of the race. Speaking of that, if you're new, we also do pace analysis. And looking here, Terry, this is a pretty clear picture here. The 4 horse wants the pressure, but there's no leaders in front of him. So 4 likely to be one that they got to chase down. And then all the others want to close. In a race shape like this, I would say whoever gets forward here probably has a good chance, Terry. Looking at the horses that are likely to be forwardly placed upon recent form, we do find the 4 and the 6 are your 2 quickest out of the gate. On the way home, late speed, Terry, favors the 5 Liberty Runner. That one's 9 points clear of everybody else, but you know how deep, far behind that one's going to be. It's going to have a lot of ground to make up. Finally, our top total pace horse in this field, Terry, is the 4, Bad Bobby. Bad Bobby. Few points better than Tiempo Perfecto. So I guess that's the perfect time. Zappy Fishbin. I don't have any idea what that is, Terry, but you do have an idea what you picked. So tell us about it.
Well, I like the number 3. He ran second versus similar in his last race. The additional distance I think will help. And he has the highest speed rating, last race speed rating. It's tied, actually. And then 4 Bad Bobby, the one referred to a couple of times, finished third versus similar in his last race. Has a trainer wins 25% of the races when taking a horse from a sprint to a route to a sprint, and his best dirt speed is fastest among today's starters. Number one is Zopi Fishban.
Zopi Fishbean.
Fishbean, yeah.
Yeah.
He has a trainer wins 20% of the races when taking a horse from a route to a sprint, and the rail post is winning at a 19% clip, and he may improve while returning to a sprint. Number 5 is my long shot Liberty Runner. His best speed is close to the average winning speed. I think this is a pretty wide open race. I played a $1 double. I used the 134 with the 125.
So even though the sun is out in the track today, we'll talk about that good looking stuff later on. 46 degrees, lots of sunshine in the week ahead. The track is listed as, I think, muddy at the moment, or sloppy, because they did have a lot of rain out that way over the weekend. For me, I like the one horse in here, Terry, because I just want to say that name again. Zopi Fishbean. Its last race, better than it looks. Running about a second faster in that spot and dropping in class today. Bad Bobby. This one's very likely to be your pace setter. And usually on Mondays, it does tend to favor early speed, but did show a little bit better late action. We'll see if it can get to the front in that slop and the kickback keep everybody off them. Financial strength, much improved pace through the first half mile last out. Again, Craig Minkowski from Timeform US told us that, hey, when you see the 2 and 4 furlong pace numbers pick up from the race before, almost always a sign of a horse getting into shape. Finally, the 3 horse, your first pick, my fourth pick, Terry. This one has a good chance to run par better. Missed by just this much last time out at 6 furlongs. Ran about 1.5 seconds faster in that race. So catching an extra furlong today could be the ticket to the winner's circle. Trifecta for me, 1, 2, 4 over the 1, 4 over the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 to kick off this day. Terry, they are loading in the gates for the first race, it looks like. Before they do that, I did kind of allude to this. So if you have a chance today, if you'd like to support the show, kindly head on over to horseracingtoday.net. You'll see a picture of our good friend, Tyler Connor, moving his tack to Kentucky, written by a good friend of the show, jockey Aubrey Green. But also, if you click on that HRT gear link right there, it'll take you to this page where you can get all that good-looking horse racing stuff, support the show, and give your, the horse racing fan in your family an excellent gift that they quite literally can't get anywhere else, Terry.
That's right.
All right, let's talk about race number 1. I'll describe what I see, Terry.
All right.
Unless you want to do it.
Well, I'm way behind on mine.
All right, so right now the 2 horse is your favorite, Financial Strength. That one is 8-5. Terry certainly has his fingers crossed that one doesn't cross the finish line first. The next horse up on the odds is the 3 horse, which if it crosses the finish line first would damage my trifecta. So we don't want any of that. Favorites be damned today, Terry. Let's go with the 1 horse.
That sounds good to me.
And, the 1 horse almost ate some dirt on that first one, putting its nose down. Pretty bad break. So the 6 horse, one that neither one of us has, is the one that has broken the sharpest, Terry. Got about a 2.5 length lead over everybody else. The question is, how fast is that dude going? Then you got the 4 to the outside, the 2 down on the rail, the 1 after that funky break, getting wide, trying to close some ground. They go through the opening quarter in what I would say is probably slow for that track. 23-4. It depends on how tiring the wetness might prove to be. The 6 horse maintains the lead over the rest of the field. 22-1 shot. He's winning right now, but by about 2 lengths. The lead is shrinking with each passing stride. You have the 2 horse right now, the 3 horse in between it and the 4. 6 continues to hold the lead. The 1 horse is trying to rally wide after that slow start. Looks like right now the 6 horse maintains the lead. The 2 horse is going to try to push out a little bit. I don't know that they're going to catch this 22-1 to start the morning off, Terry. Let's see. Here they come down the stretch. It looks like that 1 horse is moving the best. Can he run by him? The 2 horse is coming as well. I don't think they're going to catch this 22-1 shot, Terry, by the time they get to the wire.
Wow.
They're certainly advocating for their horses to go. But the 6 horse opens it up today, Terry. 22-1 over the 1 horse and then the 2 horse. How about
Wow,
that?
that's pretty cool. Well, I thought it was going to be wide open, and it sure looked like it is.
Well, Tiempo Perfecto did run the Perfecto Tiempo today, my friend. I do think the one horse was probably the best horse in that race. Circle Zappi Fishman. His race was definitely probably really impacted by that first couple of steps out of the gate there.
Yeah.
You are in Istanbul, Levent. How do you say that? Leventkin? Is that about right? If Leventkin is right, thumbs up in the comment section. If like Leventkin and Eunice, you have some thoughts you'd like to share today, picks that you like, just something that happened on your weekend that you want to tell everybody, let us know in the comment section. It is a community. We're always here to learn. And I have some new stuff that I'll be breaking out too, Terry, pretty soon.
Okay.
That we'll have on the show. So keep tuned for that. Best way to make sure you don't miss any of it, Terry, is to do what?
Well, you subscribe to YouTube, hit the little bell so you get notifications every time that there's a show on. We have lots of shows, like during the mornings, we have horse race handicap shows. In the evenings, we've got shows on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, where we interview trainers and jockeys and people in the backstretch. And also go and share that with the link that's at the bottom of the YouTube. Go ahead and copy that and share it with your friends and neighbors. Go to our social sites such as Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and X, and give us a likes and a thumbs up there, and that really helps us out.
Yeah, we'll get the race for pick six coming up pretty soon, Levaketin. We're going to go to race number 3 race number 2 right now. So we work our way through the crowd. Yeah, we can work through the crowd as well, Terry, through the card in chronological order. Today is a festival of these races at 1 mile and 70 yards. The first one of which is in race number 2.
That's correct, and it's a claiming race of $16,000 claiming price with a purse of $25,000 for 3-year-olds and upward, which have started for $16,000 or less, which have never won 2 races, or claiming price of $16,000 and which have never won 2 races.
So you see right here, the one horse Tequila Made Me Do It. You know, Tequila made me quit drinking, to be honest with you. That one's not in for a price here, but you see Wilkinson Warrior is in for. I wonder how many people quit drinking because of tequila, Terry. What do you think?
A lot.
Yeah, a lot. 1 mile and 70 yards. Again, we're going to see, I think, maybe 6 or 7 of these today. Early speed is the way to the winner's circle. They went wire to wire in the opener there. 29% of the time, that is the case. Rail Edge does pretty good. So Tequila Made Me Do It could do it today. Everything from 2 and out is mostly fair. Once again, Terry, let's break down this race according to our simulations.
All right. Well, all of them show some kind of speed, but the 4 actually shows the most speed. And then the 3 has an overlay from, let's see, about
1 to 2.
1 to 2, yeah, to 7 to 2. But that's a nice overlay. That's about the only one I see there. There's no par numbers at all. And then the C-zone numbers, the 4, 2, and 1 have the best C-zone numbers.
I can't tell you how many times we've seen this. Best early speed numbers and top C-zone find its way to the winner's circle. Looking at race number 2, what we see here, look, you know what? It's crazy is that Tiempo Imperfecto was actually tied for second, Terry, at 22 to 1 for the total pace horses in there. How about that, huh?
Wow.
Yeah, if you had just boxed those 4 right there, how did the 4 horse finish in that race? Did he finish third? Anyway, maybe that would have been a nice total pace trifecta. It was at least an exacta. Looking at this race, Terry, everything's kind of leaning towards the left a little bit. So a lot of early speed. You want to kind of be the speed of the speed in that scenario. North Pole does look like it might hold that title. With all that pace, though, if they go too quickly, the horse that has the most late speed should do all right. 9-point difference for Tequila Made Me Do It. So if Tequila Made Me Do It can run third, fourth, sit maybe a length and a half off the lead, they burn themselves out, would be in a great place to stalk and pass. And finally, our top total pace horses, which played out pretty well last time out. You got 3 of them, the 2, the 3, and the 5. They stand up a little bit better than the rest. So maybe there's your total pace exacta and trifecta.
Yeah, I like the 2 as my top pick. Wilkinson Warrior likes Parx Racing, finished in the money in 33% of the races and won 33% of those starts. and likes the distance, finishing in the money 50% of the races, winning 25% of the starts. The 5 North Pole, my second pick, finished third versus similar in his last race, has the highest speed rating at today's last race, and his best start speed is fastest among today's starters. Number 1, Tequila Made Me Do It is my third pick. Won his last race at Parx Racing, has a trainer, wins 28% of the races with a horse who just broke its maiden. And then I like the 4 as my long shot, ran second versus similar in his last race and has the highest last speed rating. He's actually tied with the other horse above that I talked about. And then I like a 50-cent pick 4. I'm going to use the 1, 2, 5. I'm going to single the 2, and I'm going to use the 1, 3, 4 in the fourth race and the 1, 2, 4, 6 in the fifth race.
Yeah, I'm going to start off with the same 2 horses on top. The 2 horse, Wilkinson Warrior, it's going to drop from a race that wasn't as bad as it looks. So I'm expecting a rebound in the second start after a layoff. The 5 horse did hold the speed much longer last time out, Terry, and managed to tie for the top last race speed figure. So when you see a horse do that, like we see right here on this 5 horse, Terry, let's take a look at that. You see right here, look, speed, 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 and then fade a little bit at the end, coming off a race where it really wasn't up close. A lot of times that's another sign of a horse on the upswing. So let's see if it can continue the improvement today. Number 3, Fictional Fairy Tale. That's next up for me. Very consistent performer. Last race out was about 2 seconds faster than the prior start. And it is our lone closer in this field. And anytime you get those Sesame Street horses, the ones I call Sesame, the lone numbers, a lot of times they that lone running style finds a way to the winner's circle. Finally, the 4 horse Impetud, I guess maybe the speed of the speed. At least that's what the simulator says, and is the other to tie for the top last race speed figure. Trifecta 2, 3, 5 over to 2, 5 over to 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The only one I didn't put in there because I'm resentful for Tequila making me quit drinking was Tequila Made Me Do It. So you got some Kais, got some Zia Park picks over there. So make sure you check them out. Screenshot that. Come back to our YouTube channel, and you can take a look at that. So if you're playing Zia Park a little bit later on today, hopefully Kais Fassi has some big winners in there for you. And if you have picks like Kais, let us know, right? Scary Creations, I know you're always sitting on a long shot. Let us know about that. Race number 3, Terry, is what we're going to do next. We're sitting on that. Again, it's a festival of 1 mile and 70 yards. This adds to that.
That's right. Another one, second one in the row. Claiming price $7,500, $21,000 purse for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards, which have never won 3 races.
And then again, at 1 mile and 70 yards, early speed does pretty well, 29% of the time, wire to wire, a little bit of a real edge for Debbie Surprise. Everything else is pretty fair. Our simulations, Terry, is it going to be a fair race when it gets started? Probably not.
Well, that one shows lots of speed. Get out of that gate, it should give that quarter pole first. The 4 has a small overlay of, from about 8 to 5 to 5 to 2. As far as the par numbers, 4, 2, 5, and 6 show some decent par number. And then the C zone numbers 1, 4, and 2 have the best C zones.
Race shape, this one is pretty balanced, right? 2 up front, 2 in the back, 2 in the middle. So pretty balanced in there. You like to see that. Again, a couple of Sesame Street horses that aren't like any of the others in Running Redbird and Amalfi Lady. Early on, Debbie Surprise does have an aggressive early speed advantage over the rest of the field. Debbie Surprise, 11 points clear of Running Redbird and Amalfi Lady. That works out to about 2 lengths and ahead, folks. So it's normal pace when the gates open. Might shoot out like we saw the 6 horse do in the opener there. That deep red late pace, though, is a bit concerning. Running Redbird, the 2 horse, should be in a nice pressure position, as we saw with the running, and then has a 7-point late speed advantage over the rest of the field, giving Running Redbird a 10-point total pace number. Anytime you have a 10-point total pace number, Terry, horse might not win, but it always seems to factor in the exacta, at worst, the trifecta. Where do you think that horse will finish?
I think that 2 is going to win this race, Running Redbird. She ran second versus Tougher in her last race, and she drops in class today and has a high percentage winning trainer. Number 4, Total Discretion, second pick, finished third versus similar in her last race. And her best dirt speed is fastest among today's starters. My JoJo is number 5, is my third pick, broke slow in her last race and finished fourth. But with a better break today, she should finish better and has a high percentage winning jockey. And then the 3 is my long shot, won her last race at Parx Racing. I'm going to bet $10 to win on number 2.
He's going to put the 10th spot on the dose. I think the 2-horse Running Red Bird, we saw a 10-point total pace advantage, did have the top last race speed figure. A little concerned that there was some regression in that race. Perhaps the trainer saw it too, so he's going to drop the horse to the lowest level it's run in its last 10 races. Total Discretion, the 4-horse, did run a lot faster early on, last out. At Parx, he's finished in the money 5 of 7. Only one of them is a win, though, and the other 4 are third places. So I should have probably put him third. Looking at the 3-horse, Amalfi Lady, this one is running, Terry, the absolute perfect distance. It's done so 3 times. Won 2 of those 3, Terry. Ran on the track different lengths 10 other times, Terry. You know how many wins it has?
None.
You know how many thirds it has?
10.
0 thirds and only 1 second.
Oh,
so
wow.
A mile and 70 yards or bust for Amalfi Lady. Then finally, Debbie Surprise. This one might just have too much early speed for the rest to overcome. Does have that rail edge that we talked about. And Paco Lopez, he gets to the lead. He might block you from the gate to the wire, Terry. Trifecta 2, 3, 4, 2, 4 with the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. And of course, we just joke with Paco, right? I mean,
yeah.
Sean has met the guy a couple of times and says he's a really, really nice guy to Sean. Although when we had on Chantel Sutherland, she said she had a little issue with him from time to time, and we certainly saw him and Irad Artis come to cuffs once on screen as well.
That's right.
Yeah, aggressive riding, I don't have a problem with it, as long as you don't hurt nobody, right, or break a horse down.
Right.
Next up, race number 4, and guess what they're going to do again, Terry?
Another mile and 70 yards. It's a claiming race of $5,000 claiming price, $18,000 purse for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards, which have not won a race since June 4th.
By now, you know, mile and 70 yards early speed. About a third of them go wire to wire. The rail has a little bit of an edge. Everybody else's post position's not a deal breaker or a deal maker. Terry, a little bit of inside speed could be helpful in race number 4. And, you do find a little bit of inside speed once they get on the rail.
You do. Most of them show some kind of speed, but the 1, 4, and 2 have the best speed. The 4 has an overlay from about 1 to 2 to 2 to 1. And then par numbers, that 4 also shows the only par number in there. All of them have C-zone numbers except for number 3.
And our pace setup for the 4th race does show you, again, kind of balance. Although the 6-horse here, Lone E-horse, Terry. So if that one can get to the lead, a lot of times those horses might not look like it on paper, but if they capture the lead early on, their confidence grows. The 4-horse, though, ambitiously placed, should give Beauty by, what is this? Beauty by a Chubby Nose. All right, Beauty by a Chubby Nose. A little bit of an edge. These 3 are pretty close to each other in here. Late speed belongs to the 4-horse as well. Ambitiously placed. It could be hard, Terry, to pass what you cannot catch. Total pace, the 4-horse again at the top. That one scores about 6 points better than Beyond a Million and Manny Petty, the closer. Terry, it looks like in the pace scenario, the 4-horse is the one to beat, and we both agree.
Yeah, I do. I agree. And the 4-horse ran 9th after his last race, but he stumbled coming out of her gear, out of her start, and as a favorite. But the trainer wins 18% of the time when bringing a favorite back to race again. Beyond the Million, she ran 2nd versus similar in her last race, and she has the trainer who wins 18% of the claiming races. He has a horse entered in, and that's the 1-horse, my second choice. Third choice is Manny Petty. She likes Parx Racing. She's been in the money 44% of the time and won 16% of the starts. Likes the distance, been in the money 58% of the time, wins 25% of the starts. And then number 6, Beauty by a Club Nose. Club and Nose?
Chubby Nose. Chubby Nose.
Chubby Nose.
Chubby Nose.
Her best start speed is fast among today's starters. And so I'm going to play 50-cent pick 4, 1, 3, 4 with the 1, 2, 4, 6 with the 1, 4 with finish up with the 2, 7, 10.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, clearly Irad is about as aggressive as they get. There's no question about that. I think that Jose is a little bit more not as aggressive as Irad, but Paco's certainly aggressive. And again, I think aggressive riding is okay as long as you're not, putting other people in a ton of danger. And I don't know that how many spills Paco's created. I think the bad rap for Paco comes a lot of times if he feels like his horse doesn't have a chance to win, he maybe stands up a little bit too early. That's why he got punished at Parx, about a month ago, and suspended for a month for not finishing out a race. And I know in England you can't do that. Like in Europe, if you stand up before the wire, you're nixed. So probably not a bad thing here too. I like the 4-horse as my top choice. Ambitiously Paced is that big simulation favorite, Terry, as you mentioned, is the Lone Par Plus, as you can see, by far the best C-zone. That's a good thing. Top total pace by 6 points means he should win this race by about a length. That's why I have him first. Beyond a Million's going to get that rail edge, although I'm not sure how much that rail edge will play today with the track being sloppy, especially if the water drains towards the rail. Poor start in her last trip, but if she gets a cleaner trip, could be your pace setter, and tough to run down here. Number 2, Brody Slam. Next up for me, also has a chance to be up front. And quite frankly, Terry, when I look through the past performances, I got to say this is probably one of the worst races I've seen in a while in terms of the horse's current form. So, of course, I single a horse in that race. Finally, number 3, Manny Petty. Really, the best thing I could say is it's the best of the rest. And really not a whole lot going on in this race once you get past the top 1 or 2 horses in here. And that's why I did a $10 ice cold Charles Exacta 4-1. And then I did a pick 4. I'm singling the 4. 1, 4, 6, 7, 1, 4, 2, 6, 7, and 9. And folks, when I single the 4, you know exactly who's going to win that race, Terry. Which one will that be?
Oh, it'll be the 1.
Yes. Oh, it's the next horse for me. Always the next horse for me.
Yeah.
Right. Let's see. I hit my biggest exact ever with Paco a few years back at golf. It was a turf race. I didn't look at it, but I seen Paco 51, so I wheeled him the whole field up and down. Yeah, beautiful. $1,400 for $1. Who wouldn't like that, right?
No, yeah, I do the same thing a lot of times. So
yeah. And speaking of exactas, that's one of the things I said we're going to bring some new product out to the market, or new tools. We don't have any product. We don't sell anything yet. But I was reading the book from James Quinn, like the Ultimate Betting Thoroughbride. I don't remember the name of it exactly, but he talks in there about how you can use math to calculate excess returns. So in other words, if an exacta should pay $10 and instead they will pay $14, it's a good bet because you're getting $4 more than you should. If it's supposed to pay 10 and you're only getting 6, it's a bad bet because you're getting less money than you should. We're going to have that tool and a couple of others that'll show horses that maybe have a nice competitive edge today based upon their last race. They'll be coming forth, hopefully, the exacta tools in the next couple of days, but the other tools hopefully early in 2024. All right, Terry, we don't have to wait to 2024 to do race number 5. I'm going to guess it's another. Yep, there we go.
There we go. Another mile and 70 yards. It's claiming a race at $12,500 claiming price, $23,000 purse for 3-year-olds and upwards, which have never won 3 races.
And then again, a mile and 70 yards. Early speed, 30% wire to wire. Rail gets a little bit of an edge over the rest, but not a big difference in there at all, Terry. Our simulations, once again, first scratch of the day in Alta Fox, but it does look like that scratch has a significant impact on the early speed.
Yep. Well, the 2 and the 4 show the most speed in this race, and then the 1 has an overlay of about about 1 to 4 to 5, I guess, to 9 to 2. Mm-hmm. And then par numbers, the 6 and the 1 have par numbers, especially the 6. Mm-hmm. All of them have good C-zone numbers, but the 3.
Yeah, Sal and Louis with a 55% chance, according to our simulations, to hit par for this level. So in case you're wondering what we're talking about, speed figure par at Parx for this level with these conditions is 82. So that means in our 1,000 simulations, 549 times, Sal and Louis ran a speed figure at or above 82. Looking at our total pace, Terry, for race. Are we in race 4 or race 5, my friend?
Race 5.
Race 5. Yeah, I got to get this correct over here. My fault, folks. So when people come back, you know where they are. We have the 3 horse in here making the debut for the the NC horse, meaning Hit Me, I'm Lucky, has not finished within 5 lengths of the leader at the finish line in up to its last 10 races. 2, 4, and 6, they want to be forwardly placed. Are any of them going to be there? It does look like the 2 horse with about a 1 length advantage. You're missing the point. Should be on point when the gates open. Although that lone PC, again, that Sesame Street horse, shouldn't be too far off the pace right there, Terry. In the end, as they come around the corner and come for home, Sal and Louie. That's the one with the high total pace figure. Going to be right there. Quickening also be involved. So you look at our total pace picture, Sailor's Return and Quickening, along with, they got a pretty good edge over everybody else in there, Terry, about 10 points better. Maybe you got a 7-1 exacta here. What do you think?
Could be, but I like the one as my first pick, Quickening. He has finished in the money in 4 out of 5 races at Parx Racing, winning one of those starts, finished 3rd versus Similar in his last race. Then I like the 6 as my second choice, Sal and Louie. Ran 2nd versus Similar in his last race and has the highest last speed rating. And then
do you think that's a Greek horse?
Or
owned by Greek people, Sal and Louie?
Yeah.
Or maybe a Greek and an Italian, right? Salvatore and Louie?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway, I like the 2. You are missing the point. He switches to a high percentage winning jockey. His early speed running style will help chances. Ezor, the 4 is my long shot. Finished 3rd versus Tupper on the turf in his last race. Drops in class today. Can improve while returning to the dirt. Has a bullet workout on the 25th of November. And no bet for me in this race.
I like the 6 horse Sal and Louie as my top choice here, Terry. Strong chance to run a par plus score as we've seen. Problem for this horse is he likes to finish second. He's the last 3 in a row, last time by a neck, prior to that 2 times by just a length, and 4 out of the last 5 races it finished second, with the furthest one back also being by a neck. So second-itis for Sal and Louie. Quickening is that lone PC horse in here, going to benefit from moving to the rail today and stretching out from 7 furlongs could be the difference. Sailor's Return, that 7 horse, Terry, we saw one of the top total pace horses moving up in class after much better early speed in its last outing. So I think the trainer must think he saw something in that race to move him up that much in class and not keep him there perhaps for an easy W. Esor, as you mentioned, Terry, this horse has a bullet and go back to work for its first race since early September. The last time this horse took some time off and came back and made its first upstart at Parx, Terry, you know how many lengths he won by?
I don't know.
19. A Secretariat-esque performance. So look out for that guy, Terry. Trifecta, 167 over the 1-6, over the 1, 4, 6, 7, and 8 for me. We got 3 minutes coming up before race number 2, Terry. I think we can run through race number 6 in 3 minutes. What do you think?
Yeah, I do too. Let's get going here. So
let's do it.
It's another mile and 70 yards, claiming $25,000 claiming price, $26,000 purse for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards, which have started for $16,000 or less, and which have never won 3 races, or claiming price of $25,000, or which have never won 3 races.
You almost ran out of breath on that one. We already know how a mile and 70 yards works. Early speed, post positions, a little bit of advantage on the rail. All right, Terry, what do we see in our simulation?
Well, the early speed is a 7, should get there first, and then the 5 has a small overlay, 4-1 versus 9-2. The par numbers, the 4 and the 5, have the best par numbers in here, and then the 7-1-4 have the best C zones.
And then our pace set up for the 6th race here, Terry. What we're going to see is a pretty kind of balanced 3 that want to be forward, 3 that want to be middle back. All right, so tempo here is really going to be important. Early on, the tempo belongs to Bunny Bonus and Dancing on My Own. Looking at Lightning, 2 horses. So the 3 speed horses want to be up front. They're going to be up front, Terry. They just can't burn one another. At the end, Social Lady, the lone PC, has the most late speed, but not by a lot. I think what we're going to see here is a very competitive race in race number 6, Terry, because you're only talking about a bad step, a bump between being the first or the worst. So in this open race, how did you put it together?
I like that 4 Social Lady. She has a high percentage winning trainer, and this trainer wins 30% of the races when taking a horse from a sprint to a route. And her best start speed is fastest among today's starters. The one More Than Glory is my second choice. Finished third versus Tougher on the turf in her last race. Drops in class today, and she has a high percentage winning trainer and jockey as well. Number 2, Looking at Lightning. She finished in the money in 5 races out of her 6 starts, winning 2 of the starts, and finished third in her last race. Then I like the 6 as my long shot lost luggage. Ran second versus similar last race. The Switch is a high percentage winning trainer. No bet for me in this race.
I like the one horse here, Terry. That one is More Than Glory, track dropper, class dropper, Jamie Ness, top last race B figure by 4 points. Again, our Andy Breyer, the guy who discovered it, said anytime they're 3 points clear of the next closest horse, you got to have that one in your picks. Social Lady, going to drop back to a level where the last time she ran at Parx, won by 5 3/4 lengths. Paco was riding then. Paco rides now. Bunny bonus, 3 consecutive speed figure increases. Barry Meadows says 3 consecutive speed increases or more, wins at least 15%. Third start off the bench in that classic handicapping angle. Number 6, Lost Luggage at Parx, 6 races, a win, 3 seconds and a third, so 5 out of 6 at the track. Better in the last 2 starts with more early race energy. Last time out. Terry, let's take a look at race number 2. Are they about ready to run yet?
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, they're pretty much close in there. I want to go back to race number 5 here. Sal and Louie. Yeah, it should be 169. I don't know why that added up to 158. It's all done in Excel, so I'll have to see why that happened, Terry.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah, that was a good thing to
Catch.
look. Yeah, good catch by Truce Allen.
Mm-hmm. Our friend from England, right? Is that where you are? In England, if I remember correctly?
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to remember stuff at this age because, as our good friend Jay Marco says, the first thing to go, is the gray between the ears.
Yeah.
It's funny, right? You get, as you get older, the gray between your ears goes, but the gray, and it transfers up to here. Yes, sir. Now in England, right, if the jockeys don't stay down on their horses all the way through the finish line, they get punished for that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I've heard of a lot of jockeys getting suspended over there for not finishing out the races, and I understand that completely. All right, race number 2, they're off and running, and right now the 3-horse Fictional Fairy Tale is the one that has taken to the front. It did have a good chance to get to the lead. The 4-horse, the one that had the best chance to get to the lead, just sitting comfortably. That's the 2-horse, Wilkinson Warrior, the second pick to finish up early on. Then the 5-horse, North Pole, sitting in the comfortable third. They go through the opening quarter in 23-1 for the first race today of a bunch at 1 mile and 70 yards. So pay close attention to how they battle this one out. The 5 and the 4 have gone by the 2-horse as they run down I think the 2-horse has pretty much called it a day, Terry.
All right.
Maybe that it looks like there's a lot of water on the rail right there. So maybe it's tough sledding. And it wasn't a particularly fast opening half. They only ran 48. So that 2-horse is pretty much burnt out. The 4-horse, that one's pretty much burnt out too, Terry. So now it's going to come down to looks like the 3 and the 5. And then even on the outside, though, you do have a horse that's making a pretty aggressive move right now. I can't see what number that is. It looks like the 6-horse in there. Yeah, so it's going to go back-to-back 6 horses in here.
Could be.
Yeah, just looking at that track, it is really wet down by the rail. So speed did not hold there, Terry. The 6-horse, one that neither one of us has, is going to win the second leg, going back-to-back 6s early on. And it was the gray, and they say you always bet the gray in the mud, right?
Yeah, they say that.
Mm-hmm. And what's interesting about that race too, Terry, as soon as that 6 cleared and went down, the other 2 horses on the rail moved wide and started to gain ground again.
Yeah, that being on that rail looks like it's kind of a negative for everybody. So
yeah,
it is pretty darn wet down there.
So maybe as you go through the rest of the day, adjust your picks to the horses that are going to get more of an outside than an inside run. It's what it looks like to me early on in the slop, Terry. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
All right. So race number 7. Where is race number 7 on here? How the hell did they get all the way over here, Terry? But it did. All right. So I don't know. These things just have their own mind. Race number 7, we're not going to run a mile and 70 yards.
Nope. We're going to go 7 furlongs. It's a maiden claiming race, $30,000 claiming price, $28,000 purse for maidens 2-year-old.
That's the slot machine race, right? 7 at 7.
Yep.
Maiden claiming 30 at 7 furlongs. Again, the early speed does okay. Stalkers are probably the best. 29% again go wire to wire. I don't know if that's going to be the case today. Strong inside to outside bonus bias. Again, just looking at the track and the way the horses ran in the first couple of races, I'd probably lean more to the outside than the inside for the rest of the day, at least until that changes. In race number 7, Terry, if someone gets to the lead, who's that going to be?
Oh, it looks like it's going to be between the 7 and the 9. But several of them show some kind of a speed. The 7 shows a small overlay of about 3 to 1 to 4 to 1, and the 9 shows an overlay of like 4 to 5 to versus 5 to 1, which are pretty nice par numbers. 9, 6, and 7 have some par numbers. And then as far as the C zones, the 2, 9, 8, and 10 have pretty nice C zone numbers.
Yeah, I mean, what we've seen so far, right? Outside stuff, maybe just take the 7, 8, 9 and box them along with the 10 and just call it a day. Forget handicapping, right?
Yeah.
Our pace set up for race number 7. You have the 9 and the 10. There they are on the outside, Terry. 2 horses that want to be by themselves. You have the 2 horse in there, 28 to 3, a reference to the Super Bowl with the Falcons and the Patriots, clearly. The 9 and the 10, if they can get out front, they stay wide, perhaps they might have a good shot out there. The 9 will be out there for sure. Checking boxes will be out there. So they'll be there, Terry. There's no question about that. So they come down the stretcher home, checking boxes, Bally Amour, and 28 to 3, the Super Bowl reference. Again, those 3 will be coming the best at the end. And we've seen minus the 1. I mean, the 1 horse gets a better break. It probably closes for the win in the opener too. And then finally, our top total pace horse in here is checking boxes, 5 points clear of Bally Amour. And then they have a little bit of gap down to 28 to 3. Terry, looks like maybe the 7 horse should be the top pick, and it is for you anyway.
It is. The 7 is my top pick, checking boxes. He has a high percentage winning trainer. The trainer wins 25% of the maiden claiming races he has a horse entered in and has a high percentage winning jockey. The number 2, 28 to 3, finished second in his last race as a favorite, but has a high percentage winning trainer. This trainer wins 29% of the time that he brings a beaten favorite back to race again, and he has a high percentage winning jockey. Lonesome Boy.
Hey, Terry, before you go on to the next one, do you know who the offensive coordinator was for the Falcons in that game?
No.
Kyle Shanahan.
Oh, was it? Wow.
Yes. And you know what he did? He choked in that game. And what happened when the 49ers played against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, he choked.
He choked in that game. I think you guys need a new head coach if you make it to the Super Bowl. But anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, number 10 is the third choice. Lonesome Boy drops in class today and his best start speed is fastest among today's starters. The 9 is my long shot, drops in class today and has a trainer wins 30% of the races when taking a horse from a maiden to a maiden claiming race. I'm going to play a 50-cent pick 4. I'm going to use the 2, 7, 10 with the 3, 5, 6, 8. I'm going to single the 5 and then single the 7 in the last race.
Getting aggressive on the back end of that race. I like the 9 horse, Terry, as my top choice here. This one's a track dropper. He's coming in off the maiden special weight drop, too. Biggest drop in all the horse racing. I think they feel like they have a good horse here because I think in its 3rd career start, they put it out there in a $150,000 stakes race. So unless he's hurt or something, he certainly faced much better than he's seeing here. 28 to 3 is making the 3rd start after a layoff. Hell, 3rd time might be the charm for 28 to 3. It might be the charm for Kyle Shanahan as well. Going to move up in class after finishing 2nd last time out as the 6 to 5 favorite. Bally Amour, the 6 horse, going to drop back to the lowest level of its career. Has the most back class, probably the most dangerous horse in here. Finally, number 7, checking boxes, top total pace horse, 5 points clear of everybody else. Going to be a maiden special weight dropper as well. I'm not so sure, though, cutting back from 1.70 miles is the right move here. I almost feel like that horse should go a little bit longer. Pick 4, 2-9, over to 3, 6-9, over to 5-7, over to 1, 4, 6, and 7 for me in the late pick 4. Race number 8, 3 races to go, Terry. I'm glad I can do some math today correctly. What do we got now?
Okay, we shorten up again a little bit more to 6 furlongs. It's an optional claiming race at $25,000 claiming price. Purse is $26,000 for 3-year-olds and upward, which have started for $25,000 or less, and which have never won 2 races, or a claiming race of $25,000, or which have never won 2 races.
So 6 furlongs. This does favor tactical speed. 37% of the time, though, get to the front, stay to the front. I don't know that'll be the case today. Post positions 1 through 7, play fair, 8 and out, get a little bit of a bonus. So 8 and out, get a bonus when the track is fast. The way we've seen it today, that bonus might actually get amplified, Terry. In race number 8, as my numbers are all goofed up here, looks like the speed's on the outside. That's where you'll find the Buffalo Girls.
Yeah, most of them, several of them show some speed, but the 9 shows the very most speed. And then the 2 has an overlay of 3, almost 7-2 to 6-1. And the 3 has an overlay from about 6-5 to 4-1. And then par numbers, the 3, 2, and 6 are the only ones that really have decent par numbers. Excuse me. And then all but 3 and 5 have good C-zone numbers.
Yeah, really strong C-zones. The pace should favor just about everybody here. The race shape, who does that favor, Terry? Look at all these guys want to be up front. The 1 and 2 should really get excellent trips, especially if everybody else decides to turn on the jets early on. That could be the case. Tap and formation's the one that might be the quickest out of the gate, Terry. But, man, look at all those horses he's going to have to clear to get to the lead. Could be a difficult chore. Late speed belongs to Private Cabana, the 2-horse, the one that should get a pressure trip, sit behind all that speed. Might get an excellent setup in here. And then finally, your top total pace horses, Game 7, 4 points clear of Private Cabana. Although the 2-horse, its trip advantage might kind of flip that script a little bit. The 1, 2, 3, and 5, well clear of the rest of the field in here. Terry, how did you stack them up at the finish line?
Well, I like the 6, the gatekeeper. He comes in to try Parx Racing after winning his last race at Kingland and received the highest last race speed rating. Has a trainer, wins 33% of the races in the first start with that trainer. Number 3, Game 7, my second choice, has a high percentage winning trainer and jockey and is returning to a sprint, which should help. And then number 8, Cameron Duke. He was beaten only 1 length versus Tougher in his last start, drops in class today, has the highest speed figure at today's distance, and his best start speed is fastest among today's starters. And the 5 is my long shot, Game Run. He won his last race at Parx Racing, has a high percentage winning trainer, and there's no bet for me in this race.
You think if Game Runner was actually Gun Runner was in this race, you think he would win? As old as he is?
Probably
would win. I have the 6-horse 2 on top, Terry. That one is Bali Amor. Going to drop back to the lowest level of what am I talking about? I have this. Do I have the right race here? I'm in the wrong race.
Number 8 race. Yeah.
Yes. I have a gatekeeper here. I'm looking at the wrong race. As you mentioned, Terry, this one does ship in from Keeneland, so that's a track drop. But most impressively, you mentioned it ran that top last race speed figure. It was clear of the next closest horse by 12 points. Track dropper, a lot of times you see those numbers go up. It's the 6-horse. Hell, the 6-horse is winning every race today. Why not this one?
Yeah.
Game 7 is your simulation favorite. That 3-horse in there, Terry, for sure about that. It's an overlay. Top par plus score by a wide margin. And has a couple of decent maintenance works to keep that saw sharp between races. Tap and formation. Yes, I knew I wanted to talk about the 9-horse in there, Terry. This one, if you look at the past performances, has been facing by far the best competition in the field. Going to take a big drop in class here. Last race might scare off some bettors. I'm not quite sure what happened there. And then the 8, Cam Duke, second off the break. Normally this horse is running on the Naira circuit at Aqueduct primarily. Did try Parx once before. It was at this level. got forward, got towards the lead, and then choked it up at the end. So maybe that's the path we'll see Cam Duke take once again today. Trifecta 369 over to 36 over to 2369. Let's move on to the final two for the late daily double, Terry, starting in race number 9, where they return to the distance of the day.
That's right. Mile and 70 yards. Claiming race of $40,000 claiming price. Purse 25 or 35,000 for 3-year-olds and upward, which have not won a race since September 4th. Claiming races for $25,000 or less are not considered, and which have never won 4 races.
All right, so Scary Creations taking a shot with tap information with Paco. That's going to be drop Paco sticks if he goes off at 8-1. I'm running double fisted to the window. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. The question is how much you're going to have in each hand when you do that.
Yeah,
right. Double fisted with who's in the $1 with George Washington's versus Ben Franklin's. Big difference, right?
Yeah.
All right, in race number 9, Terry, the mile and 70 yards, we've talked about that a bunch of times, does favor early speed, a little bit of a rail advantage, but not much over the rest of the field. All right, Terry, in race number 9, what kind of advantages will there be had early on?
Well, several of them show some speed, but the 2 shows the most speed, so probably should get there first. 1 has an overlay. The 1 does not have an overlay. The 3 has a small overlay from 7-2 to 4-1. The 4 has an overlay of 7-2 to 12-1, and the 7 has an overlay of about 2-1 to 9-2. Par numbers, they all have par numbers except for the 2 and the 8. And then most of them have pretty decent C-zone numbers.
Yeah, that 2-horse, strong chance to get the lead high C-zone. Would have liked to see a good par plus number in there. Perhaps gets to the front and gets a little bit faded at the end. Let's see, Richard. Hey, Richard, good to see you today. My wallet and my beer. There you go. I got, 2-fisted for me back in the day before tequila made me do it was, a beer in a bottle. That's why I stopped. All right, Terry. Second to last time today, looking at race number 9, pretty balanced race. These 4 right here, the PCs, they're versatile horses, so they can really get themselves anywhere on the track. If the 4, 3, and 6 go too slow early on, that quartet will move forward. If they go too fast, be patient. 1 is your lone closer, hoping that all this bunch just turns on the afterburners when the gates open, has a chance to close into some speed. When the gates open, Terry, you'll do see the King Cheek. That one does have your most early speed, along with the 2-horse. So you're looking at those 2 being PC types. I think they'll let Margin of Error take the lead, sit comfortably in second or third, see if they can run by the pace setter late on in the race. Beyond Best, the EP, the lone EP horse, does have the most late speed, probably going to be 2.5 lengths off the front, does not have a 2.5 length advantage at the end. Total pace numbers, Buffeed and Brilliant Chase, a few points clear of Margin of Error. Then a little bit of a gap down to the rest of the field in here, Terry. I mean, outside horses are doing all right. Maybe the 6 and 7 will be where it's at again in race number 9.
I don't know. I like the 5. It's my pick of the day at Parx, the King Cheek. Won his last race at Parx Racing, has the highest speed figure at today's distance. He has a good workout on November 28th. Uncle Irish, the 2, is my second choice. Ran second versus similar in his last race and has a high percentage winning trainer and jockey. Best Beyond is my third pick. Number 3 has won 2 out of the last 3 races at Parx Racing, has a high percentage winning trainer and jockey. Number 7, Brilliant Chase is my long shot. Won his last race at Parx Racing, has the highest speed figure at today's distance, and his best start speed is fastest among today's starters. $10 to win on the 5, a $1 exacta 5 on top with a 2-3-7 ice cold, and then the 8 is $8 on a daily double with the 5-7.
That's the ice cold right there. I like the 5-horse as my top choice too, Terry. The King Cheek. It did tie for the top last race speed figure with the 7-horse. Both of them were 6 points clear of the rest of the field. This one has a good chance to be better in its second start after a layoff and has a nice workout in between races. Brilliant Chase, the other, as I mentioned, to be 6 points clear of everybody else last race speed figure. Last time out, Terry, its race was 4 seconds faster than the prior start. That's crazy improvement. Buffy, the 6-horse, really consistent high-end performer. This one will be coming late at the end of the race. And oddly enough, that extra 70 yards from the mile race last time out might be the difference. I would never, I would like, mile and 70 yards. I'm always, why do they do that mile and 70 yard thing? Bafid knows why. Uncle Irish, that 2 horses likely to be your pace setter. Paco Lopez will get him on front. All of the race internals were better from the beginning to the middle to the end of its last race, specifically early where that horse was much improved. I'm going to go $3, exact the box, 5 and 7, Terry.
Okay.
Those 2 big-time clear speed figure horses. All right, let's see. You like a Bafid in here. I believe there will be speed duel, and the 6 comes and runs them down. Yeah, I think I could see that happening, especially if they get off early and those PC types feel like they have to join in the party. Last race today, Terry. Don't be sad. We'll be back tomorrow to do Parx once again. A lot of stuff opening up this week, too. We got Oaklawn going. We got the championship meet now happening at Gulfstream Park. You have Santa Anita, Del Mar running right now, right? So a lot of good tracks despite the end of the year. Terry, end of the day for us in terms of picks, new distance.
Yeah, 6.5 furlongs. It's a claiming race, $7,500 claiming price, purse $20,000 for 3-year-olds and upward, which have never won a race or which have not won a race since September 4th.
So for the first time today, we're going to learn about 7 furlongs, and at 6.5 furlongs, excuse me. What you're looking for, horses with early speed. The rail, crypt, place fair. 2 and 3 get a little bit of a bonus. 4 through 7 get a little bit of a penalty. 8 and out is the best place to be, Terry. Early on in the day, outside has been better than inside. Hopefully by the end of this day, that will change. You'll find out in a second. In race number 10, Terry, looks like the early speed is right there.
Yeah, the 4 has the most early speed, along with the 7 and the 2. The 1 has an overlay of from about 6 to 5 to 5 to 1. The 4 has an overlay from 7 to 2 to 10 to 1. That's a nice overlay. Par numbers, the 1, 4, and 7 show par numbers, with the 1 being the best. All of them have pretty decent C-zone numbers except for the number 3.
Satchel de Rich is, checking off every box, as you like to say, Terry. Sim odds overlay has a chance to run better than par. Good chance to be on the front. Tie for the top last race speed figure. Kind of hard not to consider that one in your picks. In the pace setup, it is the lone EP. Everybody else wants to be middle or back, Terry. Again, these 4 here, probably a little bit of versatility. That 4-horse, Terry, if he gets out to the front, and it looks like he has a really good chance to get out to the front, could be difficult to run down because he's an EP type, so he doesn't really have to blast out front. He can just be patient up on the lead. Late speed belongs to Crypt. That one running pretty well at the end of the race. And based upon all these early pace numbers, going to be right in the mix early on. Although after watching the first few races, the rail might not be the place to be. It is the place to be, though, if you like the top total pace horse, because Crypt just eking out Nick the Card Shark in JW's third Mischief. Again, though, Terry, looking at this race, all except the 5 and the 8 are within a couple of steps from one another. Should be a very competitive one to close, and yet you singled a horse in here at the end of your pick 4.
I did, and that's mainly because I didn't have a lot of money left. But
all right.
By the way, I do like the 7 Nate Dude. He won his last race at Parx Racing. He switches to high percentage winning jockey. Number 1, Cripps, my second choice, has won 2 out of the last 3 races at Parx Racing, and he has the highest last speed rating. Number 6, JW's third Mishi. He's beaten only a length and 3/4 versus Tougher in his last race. Drops in class today, and his best start speed is fastest among today's starters. And then Mischievous Swan, my long shot, the 5, finishing the money in 5 races at Parx Racing, and drops in class today. I have no money left to make any bets in this race.
Just proof that great minds think alike. Scary Creations and I have the 1 horse on top. Terry unfortunately missed out on that one. I like Crypt as the top pick. He's got it second, though. By far the best par plus number in there. You see that, 57%. Top total pace horse, 5-point late pace edge. And I think this one's going to be pretty close to the mix early on. Nay, dude, your top choice, Terry. Your solo at the end of your pick 4. Looks to be in really good form right now. Won its last race despite being forced very wide. So maybe a little bit cleaner trip today. And that outside post is working out so far early. JW's third Mischi, class dropper, Paco Lopez riding. just missed in its last race and going to stretch out a little bit more today. So that extra distance could come in handy. And then finally, Satchel to Riches. Really strong chance to be your pace setter. Strong par plus number in here, territory too. That overlay that we talked about, top C zone. I've seen too many that check off those boxes beat me. I'm not going to let this one do it. Trifecta 147 over to 17 over to 1, 3, 4, 6, and 7 for the opening day races at Parx. Doesn't look like you need to handicap much today, folks, because the 6-horse won both of the early races. So just put 6s all the way down, and you're probably guaranteed to make money, Terry. What do you think?
Yep. Well, we'll only win one race then.
Yeah, I might get 2 though.
Yeah, you could get 2, I guess.
Yeah, so and then if the one scratches, you'll be right there too, right?
Yeah,
for sure. So again, if you'd like to help support the show, head on over to horseracingtoday.net. A lot of good content. 2024, we will be putting more information up that'll help the better, hopefully, find more winners, along with following along on the Kentucky Derby Trail. We'll start detailing it as the qualifying races move up in points and it gets serious as we head to that first Saturday in May. You're going to want to read those articles for sure. And while you're there, hit that HRT gear button. Get yourself, your family, horse racing family member who loves it, a hat or shirt with the apron numbers on it that they can't find anywhere else. Also helps support the show. And again, Mahoning Valley being the free track today at Guaranteed Tip Sheet. There is a link in the description below. Kindly use that so they know where you're coming from, Terry. And while you're on our social sites, what should people do, Terry?
They should give us the likes and the thumbs up and actually subscribe to YouTube and hit the little bell so that they get notification. Go down and copy the link to send to your friends and neighbors and all your loved ones. So go to Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, X, and Threads.
Yes, indeed. And I want to say thank you to Frank Villardi. Frank Villardi. I'm sorry, Frank. I can't see. Steve Goodrich, Richard De La Torre, Enrique Cabrera, Tufik Leali. I don't know if I got that right. Carlos Aponte. Thank you, Carlos. Tom O'Malley. Eunice Chifor for the thumbs up on Facebook and the love. We appreciate that. It helps us with the algorithms. I wish I could tell you who gave us a thumbs up on YouTube, but they're too cheap to let us know, despite the fact they're all rich beyond anybody's belief. That's the least that they can do. All right, Terry, that wraps it up for this opening Monday. We'll be back again, as I mentioned, tomorrow for Parx. Same bat time. Make sure you tune in for that. Terry, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Just let your loved ones and friends know how you feel about them and that they're loved and wanted and needed, because you never know what's going to happen from day to day. And be safe out there. Have a great week.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with that sentiment, Terry. I was just thinking about it. A friend of mine, when I moved from Pennsylvania to Chicago, I thought when I said, hey, man, we'll see you later, that I would actually see him later. Never saw the guy again, passed away. And, I never could reconnect with him. So, if there's people in your life that are important to you, let them know, right? Make their day. It'll make you feel probably good too. Mm-hmm. Of course, we hope that no matter what you're doing for the rest of this day, Terry, we hope you get God's grace, God's favor. Every single thing you do until we get back together again, Terry, ends up in, that you're just like a number 6 horse. You end up in the
winner's circle.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us, Terry, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.
All right.